Welcome back to the next installment of the Toyotron motorbike saga. I'm going to take a slight diversion and talk about today's topic, which is what I'm calling the big Bangkok battery scam. So, while I was up in Bangkok at the IEV 2017 electric vehicle conference, I stopped in at this neighborhood called Ban Mo in Bangkok in Chinatown, right in the center of the city. That's because that's where all of the best electronic shops are. It's a giant rabbit warren of all kinds of electronics. It's where I picked up those LED headlights last time. And then this time around, I picked up one of these cool tiny bit screwdriver sets with all of the special screw heads and the security screws and everything for that you find in a cell phone. And I also picked up 4 of these bus bars, which is almost but not quite exactly like what I'm looking for the bike. These are too small. There's too many of them, even though this was the smallest one. I think I'll just stick with what I have, or essentially buy a block of copper and 3D print some plastic mounting parts. Probably do 2 side by side like that in one mount. Drill and tap new holes with proper screws, but that's for another day. Then the last thing I picked up was this. It's a battery. But it's not just any battery. It's a giant fraudulent battery. And I'm going to walk you through how I knew this as soon as I saw it. And we're going to play around with it a little bit. So, in general, I want to talk about this kind of battery. This is called an 18650 battery because it's 18 millimeters wide and 65 millimeters long, and then they just stick an extra 0 on the end. I don't know why. This is what you find in all of the Teslas up to today. When the Model 3 comes out, they're switching to a different form factor of 2070, 20 millimeters thick, 70 millimeters long, and they're dropping the extra 0. What tipped me off about this battery is it's listed as 4,800 mAh, that's milliamp hours, and that determines the amount of energy that you can put into this thing. You can put 4,000 milliamp hours of energy into it, you get 4,800 milliamp hours of energy back out. But the problem is, for the lithium cells as they exist today on planet Earth, this is an impossible number. No legitimate manufacturer has ever developed and sold a 4,800 milliamp hour battery yet. Very common ones, like this one from Samsung, are 2,500. They're everywhere in the market. All the manufacturers make it, like Sanyo, LG Chem, Samsung again, and Panasonic. And they're always tweaking the chemistry a little bit, adding more density to it, increasing the capacity. Say 3,000 and a little bit higher is about as high as we're getting today. So this is absolutely wrong. But it only cost me 70 baht, which is just under $2, or yeah, just over $2. So I thought this will be fun to play with, and let's find out what's really going on. I did see in another shop a legitimate Samsung 18650, but the guy wanted 300 baht for it, which is probably a good price for buying onesies, twosies. But when I upgrade the battery pack in the scooter, I'm going to have probably about, say 20 times 6, 120 of these batteries. So I'm going to be buying them in bulk from China, the same source that Abel's buying his from, that he's got a very trustworthy source with good prices. So let's dive in and find out exactly why this is a giant scam. Okay, let's take a look at the specs of that Samsung cell. It's rated to charge at 1.25 amps or fast charge of 4 amps, discharge a maximum of 20 amps, but even then you could do 95 amps out of this thing for half a second before it turns into a puff of smoke. You charge the battery at about 4.2 volts, you run it at about 3.6 volts, and it's considered completely discharged at 2.5 volts. And it weighs 45 grams, and the weight is a good indication of what kind of battery you're working with, because unless they're putting lead inside the fake battery, the heavier the battery it is, the better the capacity, because they're winding the anode and cathode and electrolyte and separator up tighter and tighter and tighter, and packing more availability for the charges to go in and out and be stored in the battery. So I gave the battery to Abel, and he's got an 18650 charger and balancer, but it will also do charge and discharge testing for you to tell you the specifications of your battery. So what he found is this battery is a 1000 milliamp hour battery, not a 4800. So this is running at about 1/5 of what they are specifying on the label. It'll do a max charge of 1 amp, which is only a little bit less than a standard cell, but the max discharge was only 1.5 amps, not 20 amps. Now I don't know if this is a limitation of Abel's testing, but that really says a lot, that the battery just cannot handle the kind of discharge rate that's expected, and that frankly I'm going to need to build this battery pack and give the motor the kind of power that I need to be able to drive it at its maximum, because you got to match the output of the pack with the capability of the controller and the ability to consume power by the motor. So let's take a look at this cell on the scale. I don't know if it's going to focus here for you. Oh yeah. So we put it on here. 35 grams. And a Samsung 2500 is 45 grams. So this cell is massively underweight. So that's a big tip off. We electrically test it. It's 1/5 of what's listed. Even as a cheap 18650, 1000 milliamp hours is basically not even worth using these days, because the 2500s are in the market and they're cheap and easy to use. So it's fake, it's garbage, doesn't store anything, and it doesn't have any actual power. So let's take it apart and see what's inside. I have heard of people buying fake batteries on eBay, and only part of the cell itself actually has stuff in it. Sometimes you buy it and it has a couple of small button batteries inside, and the factory is just making total scam batteries. So let's go ahead and look inside. There are two variations of 18650s in the world. Ones that are just a standard cell, and then one that has a little tiny circuit board at the top that acts as a protector for over discharging and overcharging the cell. I don't know what this has. It has this little bump at the top, but that doesn't necessarily indicate that there's the little protective PC board inside. So let me get set up and we'll take this apart. Okay, before I cut into it, I just wanted to read on the label, see if you can see this without the glare. It says, high rate discharge, no memory effect, short circuit, overcharge, and discharge protection. PCB life is around 10 years. It is green. So apparently they think there's a protection circuit inside. Do not throw into fire or incinerate. Do not puncture, damage, disassemble it. Do not knock the battery. Rechargeable battery with PCB. Why can't I knock the battery? Hello battery. Didn't seem to do any damage. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just cut the plastic on the outside enough that I'm able to kind of peel it off. I don't want to cut through until I find out exactly what's going on. So I am not a trained professional, but don't try this at home unless you're willing to sacrifice your fingertips. So okay, now we're down to an aluminum cylinder and a plastic or paper top. And there's a whole lot of nothing. So what I'm gonna have to do is get my little grinder, and we'll see if we can make a cut and peel this open and see what's inside. It does seem to have the same sound when I tap on it. So at least it appears to be consistent inside. So, okay, next step. Okay, safety squints on, fire extinguisher ready, current tech. Oh, power. Piece of shit. Okay, I think I managed to make a very shallow cut most of the way through, so let's see what we can do if we start prying away. Oh, sparky. Yeah, I need something non-conductive. Would you believe I don't have anything that's non-conductive? Oh. Looks like I need to go a little bit deeper right here and then across there. This part is tough. Whoa! Sparky spark. Okay. Ooh, there's still a lot of energy in this thing. Maybe instead of doing that, I'll just cut all the way around. Yeah, let's do that. See all that smoke? That's the angry pixies coming out. Okay, we've got the aluminum frame is off. We've got the top. I don't see a little circuit board inside. I just see windings, so it's a legitimate cell that's wound. It says C14. Carbon 14, yeah, that's good. Carbon 14 is what we want. And then this copper bit here is the connection between the very inner winding and then back up to here, and that completes the circuit through the battery when you attach it. So this is the separator. You can see the copper. That would be the anode or the cathode, can't remember. And then the separator, and then the aluminum. And there we have it. So this is what a battery looks like inside an 18650. Roll of copper, separator, and this is probably coated aluminum. This is where the lithium coating goes on here. But clearly there is no over voltage PC board inside, no protection circuit. And it is a legitimate 18650 construction battery, but the way they've done their materials and the amount of materials wound up inside only gives us 1000 milliamp hours, not the 4500 on the label, and certainly not the 20 or 4800. Is that what it said? 4800. It's gone now. 4800. And certainly not the 2500 that we would expect from industry standard cells that we would get from one of the major manufacturers. So if you've ever wondered, this is the deal. I'm guessing that's about 1.5 feet of anode material with the separator, and the same length of cathode material and copper. That's pretty cool. Unfortunately, this doesn't work anymore, so I'm not going to be able to put it back into the motorbike, and we're just going to sacrifice it to the gods. So I hope this was enjoyable for you as it was for me, and it was a bit of a gentle introduction for the 18650 style battery pack that will come in the future. Alright, didn't burn the place down. It's a good day.